as everyone is aware, the federal government, in a push to help people, have created a program through the Small Business Administration, the Paycheck Protection Program. What can you tell us about that?
Well, the first thing I'll say is that everything has moved very fast here. And so, anytime you're going to move fast with the government, which traditionally isn't something that it does well, you're going to trade that speed with a degree of ambiguity and lack of implementation finesse. And so I think the Paycheck Protection Program is a perfect example of that, where it was a program that was stood up very quickly using the Small Business Administration. And just to put it in a little bit of context, it's available for employers with 500 or fewer employees, and there are certain other criteria that are associated with it. But again, it's administered by the banks, and each bank has its own different way of potentially administering this program. And it's one of the more well-known programs as it relates to medical practices. Clearly, a lot of medical group practices are small businesses. We have some that are, you'd be amazed how quickly you get to 500 employees or more. 100 physician practice will easily go over 500 employees very quickly. But for that large number of practices that are 500 or below, it has been one of the key sources of interim funding that's available by the government. And just to recap what it is that there was about $350 billion that was allocated by Congress. And we saw that initial money go out, but then the banks weren't exactly ready. And now the issue that we're struggling with is that the funds were quickly depleted. And Congress today, which we'll probably talk about more today, they're considering in the Senate additional legislation to add money to the program. One of the key components of it is that if you meet certain criteria about maintaining your payroll and not laying people off, that the loan is forgivable and is more of a grant type structure. And it provides about 8 weeks of overhead costs for small businesses. That said, you have to be able to get it. And the disturbing thing that we have heard at MGMA, which is also what you're seeing reported in the news, is that a large majority of individuals and businesses, with small businesses and medical practices that apply for this loan, did not receive money in this first tranche. And so that's why Congress is going back. And there is some question about favoritism. If certain entities had pre-existing relationships with banks, that they were treated better. And so we're sorting through a lot of the growing pains with this program. And at this point, trying to get money to practices as fast as we can to just keep their doors open.